Is Caitlyn close to coming back? Honestly, no one really knows. People keep asking for updates, but the truth is, not even she can give a solid answer. It's literally a day-by-day thing. Sure, she might be close, but it's not just about healing from an injury. If this wasn't the WNBA, she'd probably be on the court already. But this league? It's on another level. The competition is deeper, faster, more intense than it's ever been. You can't just be talented. You have to be operating at your absolute peak every single night. Getting Caitlyn back into that kind of shape is what's really happening, and it's not as simple as flipping a switch. Other outlets want you to believe Caitlyn Clark is throwing in the towel and heading overseas. But that's fiction. The truth, according to Sophie Cunningham on her podcast Hollywood Buzzing, turns that whole narrative upside down. And what she's saying isn't just gossip. It's coming from a player who's paid real money in fines just for speaking her mind. Sophie isn't some headline chaser. She's become the WNBA's unofficial truth teller. And when she opened up about Caitlyn's status, she wasn't just talking about recovery. She was exposing a much deeper issue that no one else wants to say out loud. Because what if Caitlyn's situation isn't just about getting healthy, but about a system that's burning out its biggest stars? In 2024 alone, Sophie has been fined thousands of dollars just for telling the truth. $500 for a TikTok about the refs, $1,500 for calling out officiating inconsistencies, and even more for pointing out blatant favoritism. The exact fine wasn't disclosed. Most players would shut up after the first deduction from their paycheck. Remember, WNBA salaries range from $64,000 to just over $240,000 a year. So a $1,500 fine is no joke. Imagine losing that kind of money just for being honest. But Sophie doesn't stay silent. She keeps showing up, keeps talking, and that's why her words about Caitlyn matter. She's willing to risk her own livelihood just to pull back the curtain. When Sophie finally addressed Caitlyn's situation, fans listened. On an August episode of Hollywood Buzzing, she revealed something that made people stop in their tracks. Caitlyn could be playing if it weren't the WNBA. Let that sink in. This isn't a Twitter rant or a fan theory. This is a current WNBA player with inside access saying the real problem might not be the injury. It might be the league itself. Everyone expected the usual talking points. She's progressing, taking it day by day. But Sophie cut through the fluff. She explained that the WNBA is now so physical, so competitive, so demanding that even a generational talent like Caitlyn Clark can't just walk back into it. She clarified, this isn't about Caitlyn being soft. It's about the level of play reaching such heights that unless you're 100% physically, mentally, and competitively ready, you're going to get chewed up. Caitlyn dominated in college. She shattered records, pulled in millions of viewers, and carried Iowa to national recognition. But none of that guarantees success in this league. The WNBA demands perfection. And if you're not there, it doesn't matter who you are. The league doesn't wait. What Sophie said wasn't just about one player. It was about a system where expectations have become nearly impossible to meet. And that system, it's not just tough. It might be broken. Sophie went further. She compared the WNBA to rugby. The contact, the constant hits, the need for body armor just to get through a game. It's not basketball as most fans understand it. Caitlyn's facing elite defenders night after night, in a league where officials often let things get more physical than anywhere else. Coming back from injury in that environment, it's not just hard. It could be career-threatening. In college or overseas, she might already be back. But here, it's either perfection or don't bother. And that raises a bigger issue. If Caitlyn Clark, the brightest young star the league has ever seen, can't return safely under current conditions, what does that say about the league's future? This isn't just about talent, it's about survival. Sophie didn't stop there. She also called out something even more troubling, favoritism. She told a story about playing against Paige Buchers, and while she respects Paige's game, the officiating was noticeably different. You couldn't even touch her, Sophie said. They were giving her every freaking whistle. That's not just frustration. That's a clear example of inconsistent treatment. Some players get bubble wrap. Others get dropped into the fire. And when Sophie pointed that out, she got fined again. The league didn't correct the issue. They just penalized the person who spoke up. That's not accountability. That's suppression. So not only are the standards brutal, but they're not being enforced equally. If you're a certain type of star, you get whistles. If you're not, you get silence. Caitlin Clark, despite being the most valuable asset the league has, isn't getting special treatment. She's being left to absorb the hits, literally and figuratively. And here's where it all gets worse. We don't even know what's going on with her injury. There's been no timeline, no transparency. And Sophie confirmed that even she, someone close to Caitlin, has no idea what the plan is. That's not how professional leagues are supposed to operate. In the NBA, if LeBron goes down, there are updates. In the NFL, if Mahomes is sidelined, you get clear communication. But in the WNBA, silence. No medical reports. No press conferences. Just vague day-to-day updates that say nothing. That's not protecting Caitlin's privacy. It's feeding speculation. And now, social media is full of it. Fans are wondering if this is going to be Caitlin's reality forever, getting fouled constantly with no calls and no protection. Some fear her body won't hold up. Others wonder if she's being pushed too hard without enough support. And more voices are floating one uncomfortable idea. Maybe she'd be better off playing overseas. It sounds dramatic, but think about it. European leagues offer bigger paychecks, less physical punishment, better recovery timelines, and clearer communication. No wonder so many WNBA players have made the jump. This isn't confirmed, but the fact that fans are seriously discussing it shows how broken things are. And Sophie's words only reinforce that tension. When she says Caitlin could be playing if it weren't the WNBA, she's not just talking about health. She's talking about a system that isn't working. The WNBA has never been more visible. Record ratings, sold-out games, national media attention. But the foundation? It's under strain. Sophie made it clear that this growth might be crushing the very players who made it happen. Overseas, players earn more. They face less punishment on their bodies. They're not required to play through brutal contact every night just to survive. The WNBA's model is demanding more while giving less. So the real question isn't whether Caitlin will return soon. The question is, can this league even support stars like her in the long run? The list of players who've left for Europe isn't short. Some did it for money, some for health, and some, like Maya Moore, walked away completely. Caitlin's not there yet. But this silence, this pressure, this environment, it's not sustainable. And that's what Sophie is really saying. This isn't a personal attack or a conspiracy theory. It's a reality check. A look at a league pushing itself forward while leaving its most important players behind. And at the heart of all this is Sophie Cunningham, a player who could have stayed quiet. She could have avoided the fines, avoided the controversy. But she chose honesty, and fans noticed. Scroll through the comments under her podcast clips, and you'll see it. Finally, someone telling the truth. Respect to Sophie for keeping it real. She's not the biggest name, but she's the one who cracked the silence. And when we look back on this chapter of the WNBA, we might not just remember Caitlin Clark's injury. We might remember Sophie Cunningham, the voice that refused to be silenced, the teammate who stood up and said, "This isn't right." Caitlin's recovery isn't just about her ankle or her game shape. It's about whether the WNBA can evolve into a league that sustains the people who built its success. Other channels are still pushing fake stories about her quitting. But the real story? It's what Sophie revealed. A league whose standards are so intense they may be undoing the very progress they created. And if they don't fix that, Caitlin Clark might become more than just a star player. She might become a warning sign, a test case. The question now isn't whether she'll come back. It's whether this league can become a place where stars like her can actually thrive.